Hey, what's up guys? Tyler here with Secure Team. Just before we get started today, I want to say a big thank you again to everybody who wished me a happy birthday yesterday. I got some like 10,000 happy birthdays on Facebook and hundreds more on Twitter. And yeah, I really didn't expect that. So you guys, as always, are too nice, too cool, and just wanted to say thank you. And here is a really awesome picture of the birthday cake that my wife surprised me with after making me wait all day, not letting me see it. This is what she unveiled to me, and I was completely blown away. I mean, it's just one of the most beautiful cakes I have ever seen. I didn't even want to eat it, didn't want to touch it, didn't want to cut it. I wanted to put it in a frame and put it on the wall. But I think this is officially the most epic and beautiful piece of Secure Team art I have ever seen. So shout out to my awesome wife for doing that. It was delicious. And so on to the topic of today's video. You read the title right, and you really couldn't make this stuff up. There is a new Vice article that has revealed that the well-known actor in the very first Alien film goes by the name of Yaphet Kotto, who, if you've seen that film, he's very famous for his infamous death in the film by one of the aliens. And so the title of the new Vice article, Guy Killed by Alien in Alien, now believes he has seen real aliens. And so from what I can tell, Vice set up this interview with Mr. Kotto, not really to talk about real aliens or anything like that, but just because it was something cool. Who wouldn't want to talk with this guy? And towards the end of the original email correspondence, he also asked if the journalist was open to discussing his UFO experiences in the Philippines. So the journalist, after having learned this, says, and I quote, "This was an immensely talented, multi-award-winning, Emmy-nominated icon who paved the way for future African-American sci-fi roles. And with an acting credit list of 95 strong, so his reputation is intact, but despite all of that, this show business legend wanted to speak about his lifelong association with real aliens." And so on the Vice report, which I will link to down in the video description, they list a transcript of this hour-long exchange that, according to the journalist, Noel Ransom, was the type of conversation that, quote, made him question whether Mr. Kotto was telling him an amazing truth or something entirely imaginary. So I'll just kind of read you guys some of the best snippets from this interview. So off the bat, he asks him about never before having heard about this alien stuff coming from the actor, to which Mr. Kotto responded, quote, "Well, I don't normally do interviews, as you already know. There have been 5 or 6 people who've tried to speak with me, but I've refused. But this was important to me, and it compelled me to come out with it. It has been 50 years of me dealing with these UFOs and aliens. It started when I was about 9 or 10 years old. I remember being told I couldn't go outside, so I would look out at the streets of my neighborhood in the Bronx watching kids play stickball. When I turned around, a figure was standing behind me with an elongated head. It appeared, then jumped to the back of me and disappeared. From that moment on, it was one experience after another, which culminated into my sighting in the Philippines and during the filming of Alien." So then in the article, Mr. Kotto goes on to describe some of these UFO sightings that happened to him over the past 50 years, including seeing strange craft and lights up in the sky that would shine down on his home or on him and would appear to follow him wherever he went. He says that as he got older, he understood what they were, but as he went through this in his youth, not knowing what he was experiencing, he therefore did not talk about it. He speaks about having to move around a lot as a kid, and that every time he moved into a new house, he says, quote, "Above it at some point, there would be a circle of what looked like smoke. I'd wonder where it came from because it sure as hell didn't look like clouds." Those sightings continued for a good 10 to 15 years. I've also had time loss. I have a big loss of time between some of these moments, and I'd often wonder, had I been taken? So the journalist then asks him, what was this larger thing that happened in the Philippines? Mr. Cotto replied, quote, "It was one evening in my office in the Philippines. I heard my wife and the waiters calling me outside in very anxious voices. So I went out, and when I got there, I saw the same huge circle of smoke over the house. When I asked them what they saw, they said that they saw a UFO as big as the Yankee Stadium turned upside down. They were completely freaking out. 2 or 3 nights later, I saw it. This thing blotted out the entire sky, the moon and everything. It was huge. I just remember saying to myself, Jesus Christ. I mean, I got so nervous, man, because you don't see something like that without being vulnerable to becoming psychologically blown away. You get scared, to put it quite frankly. That messed me up for a good 3 or 4 days." Naturally, the journalist then asks him if he's ever been diagnosed with any sort of mental issue, to which he laughs and says absolutely not. He has an IQ of 196, and then went on to say, quote, "You might as well say that the hundreds of other people, including Canada's previous defense minister, who came to the same conclusion about alien life, have mental health issues too." And so, yeah, this is an extremely fascinating article. I'll let you guys go over and read it. But, he goes on to talk about the fact about, what people will think hearing him say things like this, whether they think he's delusional. And quite frankly, he just doesn't care. He says that there's no reason for him to make up these claims. He's never promoted any book or anything like that. He's never spoke with anyone about these experiences in over 50 years. He's made over 75 movies and done television shows, been all over the world, and has never spoken about it. And he says, to be quite honest, I really don't care if anybody thinks I'm delusional. My delusion is over. And again, throughout the article, you can tell that Mr. Cotto has an admiration for the former Canadian Defense Minister, Paul Hellyer, who we've spoken about many times, who, if you remember, came out and said that America is covering up the fact that aliens have been visiting us, and that there are a number of species of these aliens that visit this planet. And that Mr. Hellyer's admittance of the fact that America is denying the truth about aliens being a reality has given him a lot of comfort. And with that, I totally agree. Paul Hellyer, he's the type of guy, military man, well respected across the board, has no reason to lie, is putting his reputation on the line to reveal what he found out as defense minister, and that we are being visited. I mean, you can't really get much more of a highly respected individual who has nothing to hide, nothing to gain, and in actuality is facing, if anything, ridicule for revealing what he knows. And to Mr. Hellyer, as well as to Mr. Cotto, I salute you both. And, after reading this interview, I have to say, it must have been really difficult for this man to keep this a secret for over 50 years, what he had been going through. The visitations, the talk of losing time after witnessing these UFOs, something I hear on almost a daily basis from people who have been emailing me from all over the world with their own stories of missing time, seeing beings, and having the feeling that there's something above them, something above their home, something watching them. And it's happening all over the world. And of course, which one of you guys wouldn't have wanted to have been a fly on the wall during this sighting in the Philippines, with apparently a craft as big as Yankee Stadium that was seen blotting out the sky and the moon and the stars? I mean, it's just, in my opinion, you can't make this stuff up. I mean, especially coming from a guy like this. He has no reason to do this, so it's just very interesting. Head over to the article, read the entire thing, and let me know what you think. And of course, if you haven't seen Alien yet, head back, watch it, and have your mind blown. So thanks again, guys, for stopping by today. Be sure to stay tuned, because I've got a lot more coming, and I will see you all back in just a bit. Stay safe, guys.